It's the Chris Salcedo Show. Welcome to it. It's hour two, folks. Telephone number for us is 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV for his final regular appearance on the Chris Salcedo Show here, folks. I want to welcome in Ed Henry, host of the briefing on Newsmax 2 and the Big Take on Newsmax. My friend, glad to have you back.
Oh, always great to be with you, Chris. I'm just, it might be a little irregular from time to time because doing two shows right now, as you know, is insane. I had to literally just get off the phone with my team, and then I got a taping at 12 Eastern, and oh man, it's a crazy news cycle right now, but we're trying to cover it all as you are.
It's a butt kicking, and I kind of suspected that having two shows, folks, back to back on two separate networks, it's daunting. Trust me. I've been in a similar situation. So this will be Ed's final regular visit, but he'll dip in time to time whenever time allows him to do so. So I want to start off by discussing what Chuck Schumer said yesterday on MSNBS. He jumped on with them and said this of 71% of Democrat voters. Listen.
There's a new Pew Research poll that 95% of Republicans, but also 71% of Democrats like this idea. So why do you not?
It's Jim Crow 2.0. And I called it Jim Crow 2.0, and the right wing went nuts.
So he just called, maybe this is their electoral strategy in Democrat politics. You call nearly 3/4 of your voters supporters of Jim Crow 2.0. What do you say?
Right. I say, he was cornered, and I'm kind of shocked that MS now actually, asked a straight up questions of Schumer.
Right.
I think probably he was shocked too, right? So he didn't know how to answer. It's like, wait a second, you're supposed to give me easy questions. I mean, I did a monologue on this a couple of days ago. I mean, it's 71% of Democrats in some polls. It's like 95% or whatever of Republicans, meaning a vast majority of the country believes we should have voter ID. I mean, how many times have you talked about this on your various programs that, like, we go to Costco and have to show ID, right? To go buy, bulk food. How is the sacred, constitutional right to vote? It's U.S. citizens, and you got to show it. And the bottom line is Schumer is just playing the race card, calling it Jim Crow 2.0, because he wants to say that it's racist somehow because you're targeting blacks and Latinos, when that's not the case at all.
I know.
We just want people of all backgrounds, to show that they're American citizens. And I mean, obviously, we could go on. This is blindingly obvious, but I think you're right to play that because he's calling his own Democrat supporters racist. He's no longer calling just the Republicans racist. It's Jim Crow 2.0 if even Democrats. No, it's not. Even Democrats see through his BS. Wait
a minute. How many of these Democrat voters, they vote for mommy and daddy in government. They vote to have the government, quote, take care of them. It never happens because government's incapable of doing that, but that's what they vote for. How many of that 71% of Democrats will say, oh, wow, Chuck, you're right. I'm a racist. Let me drop my support for voter ID. How many of them, how many of that 71%, I think it's kind of an open-ended question, but how many of them are willing to say, hey, no, I'm an American first before I'm a Democrat?
Well, I guess another way to ask is how many of these Democrats in these polls are too stupid to realize the stupidity of themselves, right? That if they get a question from a pollster, do you think you should show photo ID to vote? And they say yes, because it is the common sense answer.
Thank you.
But then if Chuck Schumer went eye to eye with them and said, no, you need to say that, they would fall in the line like
they would,
right?
Yep.
Because the other part of this goes to what you're saying, which is that if you steal votes, you get more power, not just maybe in the House and Senate and representation, but in the census, so that benefits go to people.
Yep.
And that then, as we're learning in Minnesota and California and other places, it's not just, we've for a lot of years said it was about the Democrats, stealing votes because then they want to give people benefits and it's like this welfare train. That's part of the story. Now we're learning through Minnesota and California and Doge and the work they did that the Democrats then at the end of that, the benefits don't all from the government don't all go to the people, the illegals and whatnot. It goes back into the pockets of the Democrat politicians, USAID, leering centers in Minneapolis, and the Somali scandal, right? It goes back into. So there's another sinister reason. It's not just about power; it's about money in their pockets.
Leering centers. I saw what you did there. And let's also not forget, folks, it goes into the pockets of potentially terrorists. We've also heard, but remember, and we've seen this, folks, with the funding for Planned Parenthood, the butcher shop.
Yeah,
$500 million every single year. And what does Planned Parenthood do? They use all the abortion money to keep the lights on and pay their salaries, and they take all that taxpayer money, launder it into campaign donations for Democrats. It's a rigged game that Republicans have allowed, just like they're allowing shenanigans at the ballot box, with a nod to saying, you know what, if Democrats can't cheat, we can't keep up this sophistry of a two-party system. And that leads me to the SAVE Act. Look, unlike those Democrat voters that you and I were just talking about, people like me, conservatives like me, will call out Republicans when they are selling us up the river to placate leftists and Marxists. The number one obstacle to the SAVE Act becoming law is the Republican Party today, right now.
I agree with you. I played a clip a couple of days ago that you may have used of Senator John Thune, because to me the focus is in the Senate. I'll get to the House in a second.
Yep.
And you ask John Thune about it, reporters do, and it sounds to me like Ralph Cramden, humana, like, and I played a clip that was like 45 seconds long about filibusters and amendments, and I get that the Democrats want to filibuster this, they want to call it Jim Crow 2.0, as you just heard with Schumer, but that leads me to two things. One, it's not a 45-second answer of humana like Ralph Cramden on the honeymoon of Senator Thune. It is yes or no. Should we have voter ID in America? The answer is yes. Go get it done. That's what leaders do. Number two, given the filibuster issue, then what you need to do is change the filibuster rules. You've talked about this, and you're right. And I've now come to the president's talked about it. Here we are. It is time. And I had Senator Rick Scott of Florida on the other day. And he said, yeah, I'm for it, Ed. Flip the rules, because the Democrats, if they ever get power in a couple of years in the Senate, are going to do it, and they're going to jam through packing the Supreme Court and all these things. So while you have power, you've got to change the Senate rules so you got 51 votes, not 60. What do you have, 53 Republicans right now? Now, you're going to get some of these knuckleheads like Tillis and whatnot, probably not with you, but I think you can probably get 51 votes on simple voter ID. By the way, I know it's unlikely you'll get a Democrat, but I'd like to see some of these Democrats who are up for election this year in more Trumpy states, right? More America First states.
Fetterman,
who would have to vote yes or no on that,
yeah,
right?
Fetterman would probably be. I mean, I know that Chuck Toomer is out there saying, no Democrat will vote for this, but I bet you Fetterman would, and maybe there's one or two Senate Democrats who still believe themselves to be Americans. And look, about the filibuster thing, and I'm going to get into that in detail in a second with you. The Democrats are saying that they're going to get rid of the filibuster when they get power. They're openly saying it. And Thune looks at them and says, well, it's not going to be us. And so this is wonderful if you're so caught up in this institution of the Senate that you lose sight of the entire country and what's at stake. And I think that's what institutionalists like McConnell and Thune have done. They look at their whole little world being the U.S. Senate, and they're willing to sacrifice the entire country to preserve the illusion of that world. Ed Henry, host of the briefing on Newsmax 2 and the Big Take on Newsmax, is our guest right now. The filibuster. Look, I think that Thune ought to make the Democrats stand as Anna Paulina Luna is claiming that's what that she got assurances, maybe not from him, but got assurances from somebody, maybe the White House. I have no idea. But under the current rules, which would probably be suspended because there'd be enough Republicans to side with Democrats to change the rules and go back to, the old rules where the Democrats could actually, I think the longest filibuster in U.S. history is about 2 months, about 70 or 60 calendar days, something like that, to where they were able to keep it going. And think about the optics. They would shut down the Senate, shut down government, and Thune, that long soundbite you made reference to, Thune was saying, well, we got to do the farm bill, we got to do the highway bill. All these other things are more important than voting integrity to John Thune, which is really bat guano crazy to me. But anyway, they would shut all that down as they sat there and politicked and filibustered against 83% of the U.S. population's desire to have voter ID. I mean, it's perfect politics if you want to win. So on the filibuster question, to you, Ed Henry, if John Thune will not do this and Republicans will not do this, aren't we right to question their desire to win?
Absolutely. I mean, we've said this on your show many times that, you got to fight like Trump. I think that's the easiest way to say it. And sometimes it appears to me like Donald Trump's like the only one really fighting in this party, and it's pretty frustrating, I think, not just to us, but a lot of your listeners, right? That's the point, that real Americans want to see the same kind of fight they see from Donald Trump. And they're just simply not seeing that from a lot of these, so-called Republican leaders.
Right. I want to pick up a discussion on CNN. They were, and this is about the midterms, and I just want to see where you are on this because, polls are one thing, and they're snapshots in time. They're seeing over there, and, we in the conservative movement point to CNN when they start pointing out polling that is bad for Democrats. I mean, I played the hell out of that soundbite when CNN said that the Democrat brand was garbage. Their words, not mine. And by the way, it is. And the Republicans say, oh, the Democrat brand is garbage. Here, hold my beer. Let's see what we can do about the Republican brand. Yeah. Anyway, but listen to this discussion.
Won by 20 points out on the West Coast in the big state of California. But take a look at the 2026 House polling. Again, Democrats, a big rebound. This looks a whole heck of a lot more like 2020 than it does like 2024, with Democrats up by 28 points on the House ballot. Again, this is the type of thing that can help aid a Democratic majority. As I said, you go back to the big Democratic waves, 2006, 2018. Those House majorities were oftentimes built on getting rid of those few Republicans that exist in those big blue states. And this is the type of number, if you're Democrat, you're giving 2 thumbs up for, because this looks like the type of number you want if you want a Democratic majority in the House.
So you've got New York, you've got California, but let's talk about Texas, which has been such a central focus when you look at redistricting efforts and just a lot that has been going on there, especially in just the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. We mentioned, of course, that Texas 9th special election that happened on Saturday, right? That did not happen in isolation. Again, Republicans have been hoping to squeeze out more Republican seats from that state with the redistricting efforts, right? These are the types of numbers that should really worry Republicans. Okay, Republicans' margins in Texas. Trump won it by 14 points. But look at the generic ballot, the generic House ballot. Now we're talking about a Republican advantage of just 2 points.
2 points. So is it just snapshot? Is there something that really Republicans ought to be concerned about? Is it because Republicans don't know how to govern and don't know how to give results for their voters because they're always worried about pissing off Democrats? What is 2026 shaping up like because Trump's not on the ballot?
Yeah, and that's the big X factor, is that the president can go out and do these rallies and make it, about his agenda, the America First agenda, and the American people. But these candidates have to fight the way we were just talking about. They have to fight like Trump. So I think that Texas seat is definitely a warning sign. I think another warning sign came this morning in the form of Axios saying that Republicans in Washington are now privately admitting they're not just concerned about losing control of the U.S. House, which we've focused on already, pardon me, but they now believe that the U.S. Senate is very much up for grabs. Chuck Schumer, as you call him, has done a good job of recruiting, some pretty, fighters. Let's just say it. Like the Republicans don't fight, you say? Well, Chuck Schumer got, Sherrod Brown, who's a fighter, a liberal fighter, a progressive, pretty out there with his policies, very much the opposite of America First. As you know, he served in the Senate for a while and then was pushed, lost. And now he's making a comeback. And they have high hopes that there's the Republican Husted is kind of weak and that they can get that seat back. In Trump country, Ohio has gone red with Donald Trump in 3 presidential elections in a row, and 16, 20, and 24. And everybody in the political world thinks Ohio is now very Republican. And yet the Democrats think they're going to take that seat. North Carolina is a big problem for the Republicans as well, thanks to Tillis, the rhino.
Yeah.
He's stepping down. So the bottom line for me is I think that these are serious warning signs. My optimism, glass half full, is that I think the president made a move that got very little attention this week. He did the NBC News interview and said that he's going to sort of moderate a bit on the ICE tactics. I don't think he should retreat. Let me be clear. But he's still got the border czar Tom Homan as a tough customer on the ground in Minneapolis, and we're still getting violent criminals out. But I think the media keeps telling people, false things that some people believe about the tactics. And the second thing he's doing is he's rebuilt this economy. I mean, there's all kinds of manufacturing statistics that came out this week showing that it's real.
Inflation.
The economic comeback.
Yeah.
But inflation's down. Those tax returns are going to be strong. The no tax on tips, no tax on overtime,
Yep.
Social Security, and all the rest you've heard about. And then look at that interview on CNN a couple of days ago where Jake Tapper asked this guy from very blue Baltimore, owns a steel company. And the guy said, the tariffs have worked, man. It's like CNN has been there on Liberation Day
Yep.
to say that this steel company was very nervous about the tariffs. And that CEO came on and said, I'm buying more equipment. This factory is full steam ahead. And said, America's back. That's what the steel company said, not what I'm saying or you're saying. So I'm still hopeful that the economy is going to come back to the point that these poll numbers are going to change.
No, and it will. And my view, they've got until the Republicans have until the summer to show that they're willing to do something, anything to hold Democrats accountable, accomplish real protections for us in the future from Democrats. And for this economy, which it should be, the economy should be roaring by the time the election rolls through. But it's got to be roaring by summer because that's when the numbers start getting baked in the summer heat. Ed Henry, folks, host of The Briefing on Newsmax 2 and The Big Take on Newsmax. Buddy, it has been a pleasure to have you as a staple on the Chris
and I'll
Deltable
always try
Show.
to come back whenever I can. It's always great to keep in touch with you. You've got a wonderful audience, and I'll be back. You'll see me soon.
The red carpet is always open to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care, pal.